Good afternoon, Knicks and Bruises on a early show today because of the Knicks game, and I got anxiety and I'm just anxious. So I'm like, you know what? I'm ready to talk. Queen,
Nice.
how you doing?
I'm good. Good to see you. I missed you at the Washington
Don't
game, but
don't
always a
remind me.
pleasure to hang out with MBK.
Likewise, don't remind me, man. I was watching. I was so mad because I felt like I was there,
Right.
but you know what I mean. I just wish I was there in person. Shout out to everybody that made it. Shout out to Sim,
Definitely.
for, putting
Yes.
it
Yes.
together. Another successful MBK event. And more to come, man. Look out for these events and make them because it's an experience. You know what I mean? It's an experience.
If we match up with Philly in the first round,
Queen,
ooh.
I already told my job. I'm going to either Cleveland, Philly, or Boston
Right.
um during this playoff run. So I expect
Ooh.
us to play two of those teams
Yeah, I
and beat
might do the
and beat
same.
one
I
of them.
might do the same. Definitely Philly. But I didn't think about Cleveland and Boston. Yeah.
Yeah, everything is about 6 hours for me,
hmm
all three, so
hmm
I could do it. Man, shout out to the chat. Where do I want to start? There's so much to talk about. The fifth seed is approachable. You know what I mean? Like reachable.
I
We
think we might be. Are we tied? Let me.
with
I read somewhere that we're tied for
it's
fifth.
percentage points. I think it's like,
Percentage points. Okay.
and we're behind. It's like 567,
Okay.
559, something like that.
Okay.
Um, but we win tonight. We there. You know what I mean? We're close. I think by the end of the season, I don't foresee the Nets um winning many more games, and I
Oh
do
wow.
foresee us winning more.
Dang.
So we're gonna leapfrog them. We're gonna leapfrog them. I think that's almost a given. The way we're playing right now, it's remarkable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts about, let's say, this last game or these last 5 games? I'll say this 5 game winning streak.
I mean, the Knicks have been. What I've noticed is how focused they've been and how resilient they've been. And how mentally tough the Knicks don't get blown out. And as a matter of fact, when you text me about the game, all I saw was 50-73, and I hadn't watched the game because I was out with my friends, and I was like, and I saw the fifth, and usually the Knicks score is first. So I said, I was like, all right, maybe I'm mistaken. We down 20. And then Freezy texts me and I was like, oh, I can't believe this. So when I watched the game later, I hit the score, and then I was like, nah, I think we was the one, that was up. But I was nervous for that's why I didn't get back to you. I was like, nah, I gotta watch. Let me watch the game first.
First off, let me apologize because I hate when I can't watch the game.
Right.
And usually I turn my phone off, so my apologies. I was not trying to spoil anything
No, you was
for
you
you,
wasn't aware. You
or
wasn't
give you a heart attack thinking that
right.
we
But
were
the
down
Knicks
that
scores
much.
first, just so you know. When I saw that 50-70, I said, what? I didn't even read the rest of the text. I just saw 50-73.
And I do have to make an amendment. I must have got up because it was 52-73 at half.
Oh,
But
okay.
I thought it was 50-73. So I was like, oh my God, it's a sign. 50-year anniversary,
Right, right.
73 championship. That's the halftime show. Oh my God. But I was going nuts. I was going nuts.
But the
Um,
Knicks, the Knicks are playing. The Knicks are playing lights out. Both Jalen Brunson. You think about the run he was on before the All Star break, and Julius Randle. How he's been playing. As of late, those two guys have been steady for us. And then we've gotten contributions. From
mhm.
other people as well. But those two guys have been lights out for us all season. And we're going to need that going forward. And we're going to get a chance to see this week because we're going up against the cream of the crop.
Yes.
To me, I already know who the Knicks are. It's just an opportunity to see who these new Knicks are, with Josh Hart, and Mitch back, just to get more evidence. But I already know this is a mentally tough team with at least two players that's playing on an extremely high level and that we can hang with anybody. I know that about the team already.
and we're finally whole. We're finally complete, right? You talked
Mhm,
about being back. We got the recent addition of Josh Hart. Um, there's no more trade deadline looming over.
mhm,
You know what I mean? Like we're complete at the right time. You know, this is
mhm,
exactly the type of thing that I was talking about before the season started. You
mhm,
know, my hope was that we really start to pick it up and
mhm.
and find ourselves at about this part of the season. You know what I mean?
Right.
And if we treaded water throughout the season,
Mhm,
we could be in a prime position. Did I think we be close to the fifth seed? No. My hope was six. You know what I mean? I
right.
did say there was a chance at five, but I don't
Mhm,
know how if I really believed it. But I
right.
believe it now. I believe it now. Um,
Yeah.
Here's an interesting thing I was thinking about last night. The Knicks, we may not win a end of the season award, you know what I mean, as anybody in the team or the organization, but we're gonna have multiple guys in the running
Right.
for multiple awards at the end of the year.
Right.
Um, you're talking about. I know there's a huge part of the fan base that still don't believe in Tibbs, don't like Tibbs, want him gone. But I believe he's gonna be top five at least in coach of the year
Mhm,
stand, standings.
mhm,
Um Sim and I on his last show, I believe, or one of the last shows, we talked about Randall being on that list for MVP.
mhm,
You know what I mean? He was there 2 years ago. He's having a better season this year, and I think he'll be in that top 10, maybe even top seven category. Players for MVP. I think you could put Brunson in that most improved category. I
mhm.
think you could put Quickly in that 6 man category. You know what I mean? Like we're gonna have multiple. Maybe nobody in the defensive player of the year. Maybe if Mitch didn't uh, miss that stretch, who knows?
Right.
But other than defensive player of the year, I feel like we have somebody in the conversation for every award this year,
Mhm, mhm.
including the coach, and that is a true testament of who we are and where we are as a complete team.
Right.
Um,
Right.
any thoughts on that? And
Um,
is there anybody if you thought one of our guys had a chance to win one of these awards, who do you think would be the closest for the running?
I think I think Brunson would have a better chance at most improved than Randall would have at MVP just because of the competition at that, at that position. Coach of the year,
Tough.
I haven't seen Tibbs in the conversation, and it depends on which list you on. I've even seen Brunson on one of the MVP lists,
Hmm.
earlier in the season, but I haven't seen Tibbs mentioned in coach of the year um conversations, though I think he should be there. And it's so funny when you talk about Tibbs and every other fan base, the fan base is having the same conversation about their coach. Same conversation is being had about their coach. Um, Golden State, they having issues with Steve Kerr and his rotations. When I saw that, I was like, why is he playing? Why is he not playing a taller lineup? Why is he still rolling with
Hmm.
these 6'8" and 6'9" guys? And I'm like, wow, it's just happening all over the league.
And you're absolutely right because I frequent, and this is another segment that I'm working on implementing.
Mhm.
Maybe I'll include it in Sim show if he allows me to, or maybe I'll just try to squeeze it in quick before he goes on. But I get a kick out of this every time we after the game. I'll go to Bleacher Report and I'll go to the opposing teams chat just to kind of hear their views of the game.
Mhm.
So I'm very familiar with exactly what you're referring to because I do it after every game. Look at the opposing teams, and I really want to highlight these comments. I think it would be a great little 5 minute chat that we could talk about certain people's
Mhm.
views, and it's hilarious. You know what I mean? Highlighting the funny ones. So
Right.
I'm working on implementing that little segment somewhere, whether it's on MBK on my channel or
Yeah.
what. But I
And
think
it's so funny.
it's gonna be a blast.
Yeah,
It's
because
gonna
we
be a
look at those
blast.
other coaches and be like, "Look what Curry's doing. Look what Pop is doing." And then when you look at listen to the fan base, they complaining about those coaches.
Here we go. I got a comment up here. I just wanted to highlight real quick. Shout out to Andy as well. You know you got the keys, man. You want to jump in, jump in. I forgot it's early. You know what I mean. So you
Right,
up and
right,
awake right now.
right,
Shout out to Kev Rodriguez, Knicks ish. Shout out to Knicks ish. Nixon ish. He says if we win 50 games, Tibbs wins coach of the year. I think we'll start hearing him more in the conversation for
right,
sure. I think things that are, I mean, depending on what happens in Utah, I think Utah's coach is gonna have to be in that running,
right,
especially considering how they started. But I think how they end is gonna be important. I think there's a few coaches out there that, you know what I mean, probably are above Tibbs in that, but I think top five, he's got to be there. Um, there's no doubt in my mind. Uh, I Joe called me the Knicks spy. I don't know why, but salute. Um, so you say Brunson most improved will probably have the
No, no.
highest percentage of winning.
Yeah, because when you think about I'm not saying he's no, no, no. I mean, because when you think about the MVP, you talking about the Joker,
Giannis, Joker,
Giannis. You
Embiid.
know what I mean? When you talk about most improved play, you talk about Shy, Gilgers, Alexander, Laurie Marketing. I just think I'm not saying Brunson is going to get it.
Hmm.
I'm just saying when you look at
Better
his
shot.
competitors, he has a better shot than Randall does.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, you could probably say that also with quickly as a six man, or
Who's you
even
know who's in the running for the
or
six
even
man?
Josh Hart. I don't like offhand. I I
Because he
don't.
might quickly might have a better shot depending on the field of candidates
Hmm.
than Brunson does.
Hmm.
Depends. I'm not familiar with who's the field. Who's the other candidates.
Oh, I'm spying on other teams' chat. I am. I definitely am spying on other teams' chat, but I do it for multiple reasons. You know what I mean. I like to hear what they think about our team. I also like to hear the controversies that are going on and how a lot of what other teams feel about their teams are very similar to what we hear in our Knicks chats all across the board. You know what I mean? You'd be surprised how many
Right.
fan bases are screaming for their coach to be fired,
Right.
and some of these teams are in better positions or better standings than us.
Right.
So
Now
it's
this is I'm sorry. Go ahead.
but no, go ahead.
This is a sports betting site. I don't know if is that where we should be getting the candidates from, the sports betting site, because they're the ones doing the betting, or should we go to basketball sites? This is
I,
what's coming up when I'm Googling it. A lot of the betting sites, are coming up.
well, if it's multiple sites and the fields are similar, then I would say it has merit. You know what I mean? And if even if it's a betting site, I think the field should be merit based. You know what I mean? Because
Right,
they, you know, I
right,
would think the fans are logical enough to
right. Well,
want to
IQ
win
is
the
not on
money
this
and not be
list.
no.
This is
Okay.
just one list. Malcolm Brogdon, Tyrese Maxey, Norman Powell, Westbrook, Wood, Matherin, Bobby Portis, Jordan Poole, Malik Monk. But this is just one.
Mm-hmm.
This is just one site. But to your point, I'll look at multiple sites and see which names, um, which names keep coming up. Most improved marketing: Shy, Brunson, Halliburton, Nick Claxton, um, Anthony Edwards,
Mm.
Tyrese Maxey.
Uh-oh.
Is there as well. This is just um one site, and
Dun, 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 dun.
the MVP on this site. Randall is not on it, but I'll go to some other ones. Joker, Embiid, Giannis, Tatum, Doncic, Morant,
Mm.
LeBron, Durant, Lillard, Donovan Mitchell, Steph Curry. You know what I mean? Like those are like the
That that
heavy
field
hitters.
that field is too big. Shout out to Eru, welcome.
Ebro.
Another guy that was at the MBK event, and I saw you out there. Salute to you. Glad you made it. Wish I was there. I also want to give a shout out to the Knicks Morning Brew.
Mhm.
Eru was on there earlier. If anybody has not checked out that podcast, check them out. I frequently watch them in the mornings. You know what I mean? As I'm getting ready for work, I love their content. I'm sure I'll be on there one day. They'll be on Knicks and Bruises one day, but definitely want to give them their props. And I love saluting the when I told you I find these new podcasts every day. There's Knicks content creators coming out every day, and I love them all. To be honest, you know what I mean. It gives alternative views, different perspectives, uh,
Absolutely.
the energy, and it's just like extended family. That's the way I look at it. You know what I mean? The cousins and things of
Yeah.
that nature. Like you don't see them all the time, but when you do, it's all love. Era, what's good, my brother?
Chilling, chilling. Got some family stuff, man. My kid got the cooties, man. He's in the hospital right now with the cooties. So
Oh boy,
he's
sorry
doing
to hear
good though. But
that.
I'm on call now to do the pickup thing.
I hear you, bro. I love how you could say something serious and still make me laugh. You know what I mean? Like, but
Like you said, everybody got their own thing, man. I'm definitely like a weirdo when it comes to this stuff, man.
I hope all is well. Speedy recovery. Also shout out to Ron, still Knicks fan, and prayers for your wife and speedy recovery there as well.
Ain't no doubt.
Let me hit this super chat real quick, and then we'll keep going. Parish Duggar, shout out to you. Appreciate the $5 super chat. Impatience is so detrimental. We drafted talented players, and look now, we got more that will become major players if the brilliant front office stays patient. I can agree. I can agree. Especially where we draft and then the quality of players that we get at those later draft spots. And remember, who's the guy we got from Utah? Was it Brogdon? Or one of these front office guys from Utah. I
Oh yeah,
remember
yeah, yeah,
he
yeah.
came in and he said his preference was actually middle of the draft as
Right.
opposed to like those late lottery picks where you know you can make a bigger mistake. And ironically enough, topping excuse me, our highest draft pick under this regime is probably the most questionable pick.
And that's my small pushback to the statement. It's not about impatience because patience can be detrimental as well if you're waiting on the wrong guy. There's
Good point.
just no way to know. Look at Obi Toppin. You know what I'm saying? So again, we want to be able, we want to believe that if you just sit on a guy, he's gonna become a star. Or if you move off of, there's no way of knowing. You can be as patient all you want. If the guy is not a talented guy, he's not gonna be a star. And you could be impatient. You understand what I'm trying
Yeah,
to say? So
Yeah.
it's, are you sitting on the right guys? That's about talent evaluated. And it's not just sitting and waiting, because you can lose out on opportunities just sitting and waiting,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There's
And
no way to know.
and I mean, just to piggyback, who knows where their mindset was at the time of drafting Toppin. So maybe the mistake wasn't just the fact of drafting Toppin because of whatever reason they did,
Right.
but it could have been a alternative position of need as opposed to if they were looking at the talent
Right.
of Toppin. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because
Correct.
if you're thinking logical at the time, but the question is, did they know or plan on Randall being Randall? Because a lot of the fan base thought the drafting of Toppin meant the demise of Randall at that specific moment. Um, so basically, what I'm saying is, if they knew Randall was who he was, I don't know that they draft top him, knowing that he's not gonna get the time behind him.
Right. And that's the
You-
point I'm trying to make. You don't know.
Yeah.
When you draft, you taking educated guesses. I mean, you're not just like going off the top of your head. You're taking educated guesses, and sometimes they work out, and sometimes they don't. We could have been as patient as we wanted to be with Knox and Ronaldo Blackman. We could have been real patient with the Hill guy, and what would have come of it? Nothing. Those guys weren't good. You know?
Yeah, I'm thinking about the same thing too. Back in the past, remember Kenny Walker? We drafted Kenny Walker pretty high, and we thought he was going to be something. But I think he was drafted in '86. Fast forward to 1994. Does anybody care about Kenny Skywalker in 1994? You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing. Obi might be here for a reason or for a season. And then later on down the line, he might be added to like something to really get us to where we need to go.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I think the jury is still out on Obi Toppin. He might very well. It's hard to say when you have somebody in a position like him, you know, do we not see it because he's not getting enough time? And when he gets that opportunity, he's going to really take off, or when he gets that opportunity, is he going to get exposed? We don't know.
We don't know, and I think it's fair if you believe one or the other.
It's fair either way.
You know what I mean? Like that shit is subjective, basically. And until he has the full opportunity, we won't know. But I have no problem, honestly, being patient with him at this point in time, anyway,
Right.
because of who's in front of him and what he's doing, productive wise. You know what I mean? So it kind of extends. Now, if he's impatient and he wants more of an opportunity, that's different. But
Right.
as far as the team and what Tibbs preaches, as far as sacrifice, to me, that's all part of it. And
Right.
I believe he's learning even when he's not playing. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Hey, what's up, Andy?
Andy,
What
salute.
up,
I'm gonna get
guys?
to you 1 second. I got Paris Duggar bombarding me with the super chats. Appreciate it. Let me get
Isn't
to
that
him
funny?
before.
Like him dropping super chats is like a nuisance to the thing. Oh, here goes another $2. Like $5 here, $10 here. God, man, come on.
Well, first though, it is never a nuisance, and it's highly appreciated.
Yeah.
But I just don't want to miss him. You know what I
Right,
mean. So
right.
I'm like, let me get to him. Why I got a smart panel. Salute, appreciate it. Who better than us with this group plus our assets in 3 years when LeBron, Curry, and B, KD, Kyrie, and Queen Obi
Obi,
will pop.
he might.
But let me ask you this: what's stopping Obi from doing anything now, though? I know there's somebody in front, but in front of him now, but he's still getting minutes. So when he get those minutes, he should be killing in those minutes. That's the problem with being a professional. You guys, I know it takes rhythm. Whatever, it takes a lot of different things. Sometimes people could come into the game and just play. Some guys need extended minutes. They need extra stuff. But my thing is like he knows where his minutes are coming. He knows where the cap is. Who knows in front of him. So he's got to. What's stopping him from going all out in those minutes that he's getting?
I, I, I mean, that's what I was saying last year, or
Right.
and you know what I mean, when a lot of people were saying he needs more minutes to produce. He has to produce in the minutes that he gets, and producing for this team, like Tibbs always says, it's not about scoring all the time. It's the team is doing what the team needs. They might need rebounding tonight. They might need defense from you tonight. You know what I mean? It's not going to be the same thing night in and night out, especially when you're not that guy. You know what I mean? Your role is more of Swiss Army, and do what look what Hart is doing for the team. You know what I mean? It might just be hustle plays that we need from you tonight. You know what I mean? It varies when you're not the star, and
But
and it's not easy, but that's part of what you figuring it out, and the coach kind of relaying that to you.
Well, nothing's stopping Hart from doing that though. So I mean, when it comes to roles, say Grimes, Hart, what the person I just mentioned just now. All these guys, they basically are going to get their opportunities the same way. So what's the difference between Hart and Obi and Grimes? Those three guys. It's really just effort and just
Mm-hmm.
taking advantage of your situation rather than just deferring or just being, oh well, this is the role they want me to play. I get that vibe from Obi. And I think that's my issue. That's my issue with Obi. I get that vibe that he's like, oh well, I'm just doing my job, instead of just playing the game.
Shout, oh, I don't know what that means, but shout out to Patrick. He says, "You do know you're just being a double timer,
Doubting.
doubting Thomas."
But
Oh,
what do we know?
We don't know nothing.
What do we know?
Andy,
What up,
international
guys?
Andy,
What up, guys?
Indeed.
how you doing, bro?
When I saw this show being live, I had to run to my mailbox, look for the memo. I didn't get it. Was checking Twitter, was checking Facebook, whatever news. I didn't get any news that we're gonna have an early episode. So whenever I saw you guys, I was like, let me hop on.
Yeah,
Happy to be on with you guys.
my apologies. I'm not used to these noon games
That's
or
why I was thinking
noon
it's pre-recorded. I
shows.
was literally thinking it's pre-recorded. I only looking for a gap, in the Knicks, social media world, YouTube's, schedules and stuff like that. I was thinking he pre-recorded with Steph, and he's just now gonna plug it in.
But you got the keys. So anytime I'm live, if you up,
Yeah.
come
Thanks,
on in,
bro.
bro.
Thanks, bro.
Come on in. What's your thoughts on this 5-game win streak and where we are right now?
Listen,
I haven't
I
heard
think
from you in a while, so
yeah, Tony, I think the team is looking like we're meshing pretty well nowadays. The addition of Josh Hart helps because everything that we were missing, which is those few hustle plays in certain crucial moments, he provided that, right? Even that last game in the fourth quarter, he dived and poked the ball away from someone, or he made that rebound that carried over some other guy from the Wizards, I think, and it went out of bounds, and it was an extra possession for the Knicks. I think in the fourth quarter he had like 4 extra possessions.
in one play, I think.
Yeah, and those were the situations that we lacked in those close games that we had, those losses. So I think, nowadays, even if we don't blow out teams, there's, more of a safe situation for the Knicks that even if they don't score, they can have that second opportunity. And Mitch coming back also helps that way, right? Because he has those offensive rebounds that get you another extra position. So I think, this team is finally getting fully healthy and being able to show their, promise.
It's crazy. I was thinking about this the other night with Josh Hart. He reminds me of that universal missing piece guy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like on those championship teams. Obviously, I'm not saying that's who we are, but all those championship teams throughout the years, they need that missing piece guy, right? That small, you know what I mean? You got that puzzle and it's almost complete, and it's just that one little. It's not a big part of the puzzle, but it's not complete without that one piece. And you insert that piece, and it's like, oh, now, like, and granted, again, we're not a championship team, but you can just see the difference in his insertion to this team and what it did, what it's doing for this organization. Like you said, Andy, those hustle plays, not only do we need them, and they're rare to find throughout the league, the guy that's gonna hustle every minute that he's on the court, but it's also, like Sim said the other night, it's infectious. You know what I mean? So now you see it, and now you see the next opportunity that you could dive on the ball. You're gonna dive on the ball. You know what I mean? I think we've probably seen more Knicks players diving on the ball in these last 5 games than we did all season long combined.
And Tony, sometimes that that dive for the ball, those are like momentum changing, plays. They get the crowd involved, right? Any other player was like literally if we hit a 3 or if Obi had a dunk, that got the crowd in the game and stuff like that. And sometimes, that kind of hustle play just from Hart, not only, from his scoring, just from his being on the court, and those, not even, not always diving, just that, steal from out of nowhere that we didn't see the whole season.
Mhm.
That's so, emotionalized for the Knicks fan base in the Garden, that I think it's awesome.
Yeah, sacrificing their bodies,
Yeah.
IQ's definitely good at that too. Just jumping in there, getting rebounds where you shouldn't be. Hart does the same thing. We need that. The more guys that do that on the roster, the more, like you said, it's contagious. That type of behavior.
David L, no negative energy. We on the road right here. We beating the Celtics tonight. And we gonna talk about that in a minute, briefly. You know what I mean? I'm gonna save some of that for the Queen's Court and the game preview as well. But yeah, we beating the Celtics. Nah, I agree. Hart's edition is definitely showing on the court.
Yeah.
And the great thing about it is it feels like, sometimes when you bring a new guy in, he may help in sections, right? Or it may divide the team, not so much in like a negative way, but you know what I mean? It might be, people might feel slighted, right? People might feel threatened.
Right.
You don't get a sense of any of that. You hear Grimes talking about Hearts Edition and welcoming it, and it's more, it's for the team. I can learn from him, etc., etc. Um, it's like a perfect fit, a seamless transition, and I'm really just hoping and praying like we could just keep this going, because it feels different right now. It feels different from 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It really feels like we took a step. You know what I mean? And it's not like we skipping a step. It feels like, oh, we slowly building.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, 2 years ago, you knew the formula. Randall was the head of the snake. He was creating offense for everyone, for everyone else. Now, you know, you got him, you got Brunson, you got other players that can create, shots as well. So when teams are game planning for us, it's not just one game plan. We're gonna just focus on Randall. There's other players on the team as well. So it's gonna make us harder to guard.
I like how they try to take, the Wizards. They tried to take the head off the snake of Brunson. Brunson was a hot player. They tried to get rid of him. They kind of did do that, but then Julius Randle said, "Okay, well, it's my turn."
It's my
You know,
turn.
and then that's the game that we're gonna have to play. RJ did it last night. He
Right.
stepped up and he was able to fill in that hole too, because Brunson also was kind of struggling a little bit.
Right.
So that's the game that we're gonna have to play. Guys have to be aware of how teams are playing us, and then just fill in accordingly.
And that's the best part of this, right? Because we could win a game with one of our guys neutralized, in a sense. You,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Right.
And if a player is neutralized offensively, like Tips again has always been saying, find another way to affect the game. You know what I mean? Brunson had that bad offensive game, but had 9 assists. You know what I mean? So he was finding his players. He was finding ways to affect the game positively. And I feel like as long as we continue that, even with RJ during his semi slump, you know what I mean? He could find other ways to affect the game. You know what I mean? And it's just gonna make a more complete player, and then make us a more complete team. Let me get to this super chat real quick. Brooklyn Butch, salute. Imagine Obi developing a crossover and improving his IQ of where to be on the court with good timing, possible or not. I think so. His athleticism at the basket is scary good. I agree. I agree. And the great part of the position that he's in, I don't think we have to rush. I think because of Randall being here, we could be more patient, right? Because of even the way he's being utilized, we're not focusing on just saying, all right, Obi, we know you're a super athlete. We're gonna use you to your strength and only your strength. I think Tibbs is putting him in a position to where All right, get that corner three, lock that down. I said this, I believe, last year. If he can consistently hit the three, the rest of his game is gonna open up. Is gonna be wide open. You know what I mean? Once he's a threat at the three, now it becomes pump fake, drive the lane. We know how he could do attacking the basket. To Brooklyn Butcher's point, if his handle could tighten up a little bit, that'll be the second thing. Consistently hit the three, tighten up the handle, and we'll see a world of difference of player in Obi Toppin. But I don't think we gotta rush it. I mean, granted, I know the contract thing, blah blah blah. So maybe that puts a timeline on it, but at the same time, it's not anything that's we got to figure this out right now. Otherwise, it was the wrong draft pick, or we're gonna lose him for nothing. Or I still think he has value, and I think his value will increase. And let's not forget, when we dropped the ball in the playoffs, he was one of 3 players that actually played well. You know what I mean? And I think the playoffs might. I think he'll have moments in the playoffs as well. I'll say that.
Yeah, he's a bright light player, but he need to get in the gym. He need a Planet Fitness membership or something. Because I don't see crossover. I don't think he really need a crossover. A lot of times, like even the last couple games, he would drive and then he would just get pushed off his square. Like he'll go up for a layup, and then just when somebody's coming in his square, then he's like, okay, now I'm off position and I'm gonna miss it because I'm off. I'm afraid to get hit, or I just don't have the strength to withstand the hit from somebody bigger than him. So he just needs to get stronger, man. My thing with all that is that, like, when are you gonna take control of your own career? This is like year 3. He still looks as skinny as he did on day 1. We seen him live in Washington D.C. I made a comment to Papa Lev who's next to me. Skinny toothpick legs, man.
Johnny Bravo.
Yeah, he looked like Johnny Bravo. Yeah, it's crazy,
Not
man.
that he's huge up top, but them legs, they twigs. I ain't gonna lie. And to your point, he's been like that since his rookie year.
Yeah. This is the Frank Ntilikina portion of the show where we talk about players for more minutes than they even get in the game.
Word
I
up.
mean, come on. Come on. Obi Toppin, listen, we on a 5-game winning streak. Randall's balling out. You know what I mean? RJ last night, looked great. He has 7 assists, kind of giving us a sense of the type of play that at least me, I thought that he needs to get more into the playmaking aspect of the game and stop focusing on scoring. He can definitely help us there. And that's what, RJ Barrett did. So I think we got a lot of things to talk about other than Obi Toppin today.
I mean, perfect transition. That was hilarious though, and I am not gonna forget that. We cannot talk about a player for more minutes than he plays in the game.
Word up, right on point. That's right on point.
MBK fam rules. RJ, super impressed with him last game. The Washington game, I didn't get to go to the event with you guys. I didn't get to talk to you about it. I felt like his defense in that Washington game was maybe the best it's been all year. I felt like he was playing passing lanes. Man-to-man defense was good. Help defense was superb. So even though he didn't have a great offensive output or efficient game, I felt like defensively he made his impact. And then last night or last game, second leader scorer, 25 points, 7 assists. That was the most impressive thing to me out of the whole game. I felt like there was one play that he looked off a teammate and tried to take it by itself. Ended up being a turnover or missed shot, change of possession. But other than that one play, you know what I mean? I felt like it was a different RJ. Like he was making the right reads. If he could do that and limit some of the forced shots, you know what I mean? And I could deal with not inefficiency throughout, but you know what I mean? Inefficiency from this game, he's inefficient next game. But if he's making the right reads, that's going to take away some of the bad shots anyway. and the missed shot. So I think that's going to automatically help his efficiency. So to me, last game, RJ, his him seeing his court vision was the best part of him in that game. Even though he had 25 points, even though he shot efficiently,
Right.
and that's what I'm looking forward from him. Make the right read. You don't gotta force it. Obviously, you can get your numbers regardless of how you shoot it. We've seen it throughout
Right.
the 4 years. You know what I
Right.
mean? You're gonna get your numbers. Make the right reads. That's gonna make you a better ball player, and keep that energy defensively, because obviously
Mm-hmm.
that's what's keeping you out of fourth quarters. And we're gonna talk about that. I mean, we could transition if unless anybody wants to add to it. I'm just saying.
I mean, to your point, I forgot the game was a recent game. Maybe the Washington game. It might have been the Washington game. In that fourth quarter, he was 3 for 3. He was our second leading scorer in the fourth quarter. He only played 4 minutes. So that just goes to show that it's not the offense. He was 3 for 3 in the 4 minutes. It wasn't the offense, it's the other thing. So if he gets to the point where he's defending better, and he gets to the point where he's, you know, moving the ball and things of that sort, playmaking, then he'll have a better opportunity to close.
Yeah, he gets himself in trouble once he gets into spots and he's looking. Like it was the last game or the game before that, whatever. He was in the paint where he circled around the paint, and then he stopped in front of the rim and then did something else. And then it's like when he does stuff like that, it's just like, what are you doing? That's what people are pissed off about. He has the clutch gene, like you said, the 3 shots in the 4 minutes.
Right.
He could do that. He's
Right.
won games with his hitting the jump shot, that type of thing. But he gets himself in trouble thinking that he's like, I don't know if he thinks he's better than he is or whatever. I really don't get it. But I mean, that's something I think that will work itself out. If he gets his
Right.
Andy,
Yeah,
you want to
but
add
I hope
anything?
this is the turn. I hope this is the turn for RJ.
Me too.
Well, Tony, the only thing I'm gonna say is that when we had the RJ episode on on NBK, I said it that if he's gonna limit his shots, I think his game is gonna look way more efficient and way better. Last couple of games he did that, so I'm not gonna say that I'm happy he watched the episode and he listened to me, but but listen, it might be also the other thing, right? That he's like totally looking to get that 20-point mark. And if he needs like 10 shots or 13 shots to get there, he's just going to take that. Or he's like, okay, I got 20. I don't have to force it. I'm around that because, that might be also the question. He looked way more efficient. But, for me, like you said, just taking better shots, not forcing it. And it's going to be, a better looking RG for all of us.
Right.
One thing about the game too, like when you play basketball, even when you're playing in the street, sometimes if you just give the ball up, and then move, the ball come back to you. If you guys are moving the ball, if that's the game plan, move the ball, get to a spot, and then you'll be able to get it back. These guys are dribbling and making moves as if they're not good. The ball's never going to come back to them. So we get
Wow.
caught in that sometimes. When we get our little problems and stuff. So I wish they would do that.
When Brunson and Randall are in their in their element, it's true. It might not. If those guys are playing well. So maybe that's what RJ's feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, Randall gets in trouble too a lot. Sometimes he'll get into the dribbling and stuff, but sometimes all you got to do is just stop, pass the ball, move to a spot, and you'll get it right back. Because guys like Grimes and stuff like that, those are ball movers and whatever. So you just got to trust your guys and use your guys, rather than putting all the pressure on yourself to make the perfect move.
Right.
Being that we're at the pinnacle of like our best play of the year, I believe, definitely the highest position we've been in the standings all year. Not trying to be negative because I can't really find. Is there anybody on the team that you're kind of, I guess RJ aside, that you're kind of expecting more from, or saying, oh, if this guy could only do this, you know what I mean, it'll help us even more, or is everybody like either exceeding expectation or meeting expectation? Is
I
anybody
mean, I,
underwhelming?
I wouldn't say underwhelming, but I think that if Grimes hit a higher percentage of the timely open shots that he gets, I think it would help us. But again, he's where he should be as a second year player. So I'm not putting anything on him. I just know that there are times in the games where he'll get open looks and like, oh, if he could just knock that one down, we would have been able to get back in the game, or we would have been able to extend our lead. So I think if he gets a little better at just hitting those timely shots, I think that would help us. But I'm not like complaining about him.
I agree. One thing I noticed about Grimes, it seems like he shoots better when he catches a ball that's like not directly on target.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if he got to like kind of reach for it, pull it back, he's making those. If it's like a straight perfect pass, and it's like, all right, those are the ones he missed. It's like he almost got to be a little bit. It's like he got to save the play to make it. You know, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, he might be like a momentum shooter. Like I think if he's too wide open, I think he gets in his head. Oh my God, I'm wide open. I got to make this. But if he gets the momentum, he'll get it and sweep it and just shoot it.
Yeah.
More in rhythm. He's more like that type of shooter. Mitchell Robinson.
I heard you. I heard you on the other show. Knicks Morning Brew. I was throwing fists like Cuba Gooding Jr. and whatever.
I have to throw his name out there, but bottom line with him and just everybody, they just have to do their jobs. Get more in tune of what your job is and just do your job. Mitchell Robinson, the last 2 games, and him coming back, he played excellent. He was doing his job though. If here's the thing too, like if say Grimes is driving, get the ball on the rim, because now we're trusting Mitchell Robinson to do his job, get that offensive rebound, bang it back in. He did that the last 2 games, So it's saying, we just guys just got to trust what their role is, what their job is, and just really focus on that and do it. And then I think if we do that, we could beat anybody if everybody locks into their particular role.
Right, be a star in your role.
Yeah,
whatever it is.
Andy,
yeah, I love that.
I'm upset about Fournier, and from his part, I'm not gonna call out Tibbs that he's the downfall of Fournier. I think at least for me, I didn't expect Fournier to get benched and stuck to the bench for this long of a period. And I don't think maybe some hating Knicks fans were expecting and happy with this benching that he's not getting any burn. I'm kind of surprised about that because I feel that he still has game and he still could produce. But since we're winning, I can't complain, and I'm not going to be defending Fournier no other way here. So, but I still think that he's going to be a valuable piece if some kind of an injury happens to one of those guys, and we need that scoring punch off the bench. I think he's going to be able to provide that. But since we're winning, he can stay on the bench for me.
Well, let's say like a hypothetical trade where some star becomes available, then we could throw like a Grimes into that trade per se, and then maybe Fournier could be put back into that role as a backup player,
Maybe. And listen, guys, I think we didn't just like cut him or anything else because he has that number on the contract that might be useful if we're going to make a bigger salary trade, right?
Yeah.
For any kind of a player, you need that numbers to get matched, and I think that's why neither D Rose got released or Fournier got traded for a bunch of cookies.
Perfect actually transition, because you mentioned both the guys, and one of the things I wanted to talk about exactly D Rose as well. The numbers on those contracts. But on the flip side, we've witnessed D Rose saying he's not thinking about a buyout. He doesn't want to buy out. You know what I mean? He's happy in his role or whatever it is. He's happy in New York, right? We've also heard Fournier say the same thing about being traded. Now with Fournier, it may be a little bit of a caveat considering he just had a kid, and I want to say he might have even mentioned that too as being part of it. but saying, I want to stay here, I want to be here, and I don't want to be traded. So it's interesting to me that both of those guys, during the trade deadline, post trade deadline, what I mean, at some point stating that they want to still be here, knowing that they're not playing. You know what I mean? It's intriguing in a sense because we're talking about guys wanting to be here that don't have a role. That has to speak volume to what we're doing as an organization. You know what I mean? Not being disgruntled, not wanting um a better situation, quote unquote.
Mhm.
And other players around the league, that they gotta be noticing that too. Like if other players would notice when guys want to leave, you know what I mean? Hey, get me out of here. They have to notice when a guy wants to stay, especially when a guy wants to stay and his role is not even significant at this moment. What do you guys think of that with both Fournier and Rose? What it means outside of the Knicks, and then also what it means as what it says to what the Knicks are doing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a connectedness around this team. It seems like obviously I'm not in the locker room, but it seems like they like to be each other, and you kind of hear that, when they talk about each other. So it's possible that even though they're not playing, they like the group and they like, being together. And what's the other options? I don't know if anybody wants to uproot their family in the beginning of in the middle of the season anyway. So stay here. And then at the end of, the season, we'll see. Rose, if given the opportunity, maybe he'll think about coming back. Fournier, if given the opportunity, knowing that he's not going to play or be in the rotation, nah, I don't think he would choose it. As much as he likes this team in New York, he wants to play.
Oh, I agree because I mean he stated that as a caveat. And yeah, I want to be here, but of course I want to play.
Right,
You
right,
know what I
right.
mean? I love Fourier because he speaks his mind without
Mhm.
being demonstrative or disgruntled. You know what I mean? He says how he feels, and it's not as a slight. You know what I mean?
Right.
He understands. He's a vet. You know what I mean? That's two guys, two vets that are being um great examples for our young guys for when they get older, when they get into these type of positions in the league of how to handle it. You know what I mean? What to do, what not to do. And that is a great sign. You need veterans on the team. You need veterans that are gonna play, and you need veterans that aren't gonna play, and you need veterans that are willing to accept both of those roles and situations. So shout out to our vets, and I still think both of them can potentially have a playoff moment, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Win,
yeah,
win,
yeah.
win us a game on a flyer. You know what I mean? Because they got the opportunity because somebody wasn't playing well or wasn't available, whatever the case. So, great guys to have, man, and shout out to them, especially D Rose, but shout out to Fournier as well, at the very least for not being disgruntled, right?
Right.
And showing those young guys how to be professional.
Well, shout out to Randall too, because Randall actually said that Rose actually might like his role, not playing rather than playing this year. That's another thing too. Sometimes guys they get really into it. Now they have something where okay, I'm helping these guys and we're
Mhm.
winning, and whatever I'm contributing that way is helping the team win. That could be addictive too. To have to
Mhm.
have that having that role off the bench, and then if they pull you off the team, it's like damn son, I invested all my
Yeah.
time and my energy into this. I want to see it through, and for me to get kicked off the team at this point, that might
Take
be.
take it a step further. It could also be a great way to transition into being out of the league, right? So
Yeah,
so so
they
whether
want
whether
Wally
he wants
Zerbiak's
to
job. That's what they want.
well,
Clyde,
whether
Clyde
he
is up
want
in
to
age.
be
They
a
want Clyde's job.
I mean, he may want to coach, he may want to train, he may want to do something mentorship. You know what I mean? Like this is a great transition for him as opposed, you know what I mean? Like he's familiar, he got Tibbs, he got relationships around him. So yeah, I think it makes it easier to step away when it's time to step away when you're already accepting a diminished role, no role. You know what I mean? Mentorship role. Like when you do all that, it's probably easier when it's time to step away, as opposed to not being as humble and just wanting to stay the guy that you've been in the past. And we've talked about that with Rose, just accepting who he is today as opposed to who he was. A lot of NBA players, a lot of stars in general just can't. It's a hard transition for them. I'm sure the injuries helped him, but you know what I mean. Just mentally, he seems at peace.
I think Derrick Rose found a good hairdresser too. His hair looks fantastic, man. You see that? His hair's never looked that good, man. Looks
Well,
beautiful.
he's got the time,
Yeah, got it twisted up
Got
nice.
the time. Yeah.
Mhm.
and I think the last thing I want to kind of talk about, I guess, I mean Brunson and Randall. I want to start with Randall though, because man, coming off the All Star, where you know he tends to not play good, comes out, drops 46. You know what I mean? Has one of the best games of I mean, tied his career high. So
Yeah.
you could say the best game of his career. You know what I mean? And his mind, he credit his mindset. We all speculated and talked about mentality, mental this, mental that.
Mhm.
Even at times I felt to the point where it's I don't want to say, you don't want to talk about people's mental in a bad way, the sensitive topic. But he acknowledged the biggest difference between last year and this year. It's all mental, man. It's all mental, you know what I mean? And we talked about that to nauseum, but to
Right.
see the change and I mean, we talked about, do we think he could get back to that? Do you think he could win the fans back? We talked about,
Right. Yeah.
all types of like, can he just balance out? And now he said, F all that. I'm gonna get better. I'm gonna show you that I'm not done growing, improving as a person. As what he said. When the mental's right, I'm a better father. I'm a better husband. I'm a better son. I'm a better player. I'm a better teammate. I'm like,
But ain't that the truth though?
it's the
For all of
truth.
us.
Yeah.
It's
Look,
the
man.
truth.
That's from all of us, Doug.
I'm always joking about it, but look, I got a whole bunch of pills here to help me get through my life. You know what I'm saying?
But
Like,
to acknowledge, but to
people like to smoke
acknowledge
their
it,
thing, drink and stuff. People have their stuff to get through. Like you have to develop yourself. You know, he's just a young man in his late 20s at the same point where I was at his age, trying to
Correct.
figure this whole life thing out.
what was the GI Joe slogan?
Knowing is half the battle.
Knowing is half the battle. Like you got to know it first, acknowledge it, right, and then accept it, and then make the change. Like so, man, I'm so proud of Randall, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
I am so proud of Randall.
Yeah.
Like coming off the
And he
remember
wasn't built for New York. Remember that? He not
yes,
built for New York. He can't, and he said it at a press conference. He said, "I'm built for this." And I was like,
yes,
"It don't look like it." But he said that last season. But he knew himself that, he's built for
yes.
this. And to be able to stand in there, take all that criticism and to come back and to play and listen, he had the 46-point game. Okay, fine. But he's been playing at a high level for the entire
Oh
season.
yeah.
There's times, just like Brunson, there's times where he'll have an even higher stretch, right? But he's been playing lights out all season. So, kudos to him. And there's still some holdouts like C-Mac that he's not going to win back no matter what he does.
Eh,
But what I like about Randall, it doesn't even seem to matter
mhm.
to him. And that's what tells me he's where he needs to be.
And guys, just two things about Randall. I'm also really proud and happy, of his, even coming out and saying that it was purely mental, right? Because that, I'm not gonna say that take guts and stuff like that, but I think, you know, it might have worked, you know, like a double-edged sword, right? Some guy's gonna hold it, you know, against him if he's gonna have a slump, and you know he's gonna have to be, you know, defending himself and his mind to not go really down on himself. But what we gotta realize that, listen, he's what, 25, 26?
No, 28.
He's 28, so that's still young as a person, you know, as a human being. And he had way more on his plate than probably me, probably, you know, even you guys, right? So I think it's an awesome thing that he came out and said that. And the second thing is, what did I want to say about Randall too? I saw this comment. Take Diamond said it. Randall doesn't have to make the most important decisions anymore. Jalen Brunson for president, right? It might have been the situation, but you know, he has that wing guy on his side, but he also makes better decisions. It's not only like, if it has to be an important decision, I'm just gonna pass up the ball. He takes, you know, also the pressure of Brunson sometimes. It's not like, you know, it's all on Jalen, right? So they're lifting each other up.
Correct.
Yeah.
Transparency, I think, is a freedom in transparency too. You know, like sometimes if you keep things to yourself, you don't want, like how Ewing used to do. Like he was going through stuff, and he would just keep it to himself and like none of your business kind of thing. You know, but just him admitting that out, just saying it, is a release. You know, I do that all the time. I have no problem saying if I'm at, hey Ebru, how you doing? I'm not feeling too good. This is what's going on. Like, oh, I didn't ask you all that, but you did. And here's the answer. You know what I'm trying to say? So, I mean, that's on family. You know, when it comes to the like ESPN and the NBA, who cares what they have to say? He's telling that to us, you know, to MSG or whatever. So we, you know, we accept that as family. You know, same, you know, same thing like any of you guys. If somebody says something about you guys, we go on a war. You know what I'm saying? But in this little thing here, if let's say anybody that pops up in here, we're gonna have our arguments and stuff like that. But that's between us.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
nobody
I
else ain't got nothing to say. Right.
Yeah, you better not say nothing else. You better not say nothing about Steph. You know what I'm
It's
saying?
like, I can talk about my brother. You can't talk about my brother.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I appreciate him doing that. You know, so you know, we could just kind of move on. You know, from that whatever. What's the guy in the chat? Was Mac? He was talking about the he ain't giving winning back the fans. It's the mentality is warped. You know, you gotta move off of that.
Iru, I'm gonna say, you know, with the mentality of the Knicks fans, it's like, I hope my wife doesn't hear this. You know, it's like with your wife, you can say, you know, I love you, like 5 days in a row. The 6th day you say, like, listen, you got a pimple on your nose, and she's gonna remember that for like a month, right? She's gonna remember I love you whole week. So
right.
So you know,
careful,
yeah.
But listen,
I think I'm safe.
But I don't think like people are waiting to see how he does in the playoffs. To me, like if you're saying I'm waiting to see how he is in the playoffs before I say he's a star or a superstar, that's fair. But why are you waiting to see how he plays in the playoffs to acknowledge the season that he's having right now? Like I don't get that. He's balling out right now. The Knicks are tied for 5th, percentage points, 5th. Yes, because, you know, we brought in Brunson, but also because Randle has raised his level of play.
Best season of his career.
And you know, performing in the playoffs, yes, it has something to do with you, but it also has something to do with the players that's around you, because they can take pressure off of you and the teams can key on you less, right? So when we talk about him in that playoff performance 2 years ago, yeah, part of it was him, you know, and maybe it being his first time. But the other part of it was just being on a team where everybody was dependent on him and nobody could, you know, create their own shot. And once they crowded him, what was the other players going to do? So some of it was the roster construction as well. I don't think we're going to have that problem this time around.
And Steph, just going ahead a step. Listen, I said it after a couple of games that we had this year. Knicks are looking, you know, Knicks basketball currently in the season is looking like they're playing in the playoffs.
Right.
a little bit more ISO. They ain't in a hurry. They play some defense and stuff like that. This looks like playoff basketball.
So we're
So
doing
it's
it
not going to
already.
be like, oh, we're just going
Yep.
from the fast pace and
Yep.
now they're just slow us down and we don't know what to do, right?
Right.
We're looking like we're playing playoff basketball, tactic wise.
Yep.
Not only result, just tactic wise. We're looking
Right.
like we're playing in the playoffs. So I don't think there's going to be anything different when we
And-
reach that.
Andy,
Right.
I said that same thing to Sim the other night off air. My question to that is, or if I had a concern, and let me ask you guys the same
Mm-hmm.
question. If that is the case, is there a concern that there isn't another level
Maybe there is.
once we get there? I mean, I hope there is. I believe there is.
Right.
I think we can grind out win a series even versus any team in the NBA. I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna be hard versus a team like Milwaukee. But listen, we beat Philly with their guys. We beat Boston. We play Boston today and the other time this week. So we're gonna see how we match up versus them. But I think we do
Right.
pretty fine.
Right.
And it's always depending on the matchups. Playoffs is they say
Right.
that it's a different game and stuff like that, because you're not trying to change your offensive game. You're trying to with your defensive scheme, you're trying to break up the flow of the team of your opponent, right? And that's where you see the coaching adjustments from the games from the season, and even not your games, just games that, for example, Tips is going to see if, for example, the Sacramento Kings beat the Celtics. They beat them twice this year. They're going to look, what did the Kings do? What we can apply to our roster to do versus them, right? That's where the schematics and the tactics and all those coaching things gonna do within the playoffs, right?
Kind of like the league did after they watched the Hawks do what they did to the Knicks in the playoffs. The next year, it was almost like a blueprint for Randle.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just want to piggyback on some stuff that Andy was saying. Also, Mac too. Mac is talking about numbers. He said he was talking about Julius. Can Julius put up the same numbers without Brunson? I beg to differ. So I mean that's the same thing. As the mentality is off. Like you're talking about numbers, but it shouldn't be about the numbers. It should be about the W's. The letters. It should be about the letters, not the numbers. You know what I'm saying?
Can Brunson put up the same numbers without Randle? They both. It's yeah. I agree. It's not about the numbers. And Randle was putting up similar numbers without Brunson two seasons ago.
Right.
And listen,
And last year in a bad year. let's not even front. You know
and listen,
what I mean?
guys, for me, I don't care about the numbers even. If we're getting a W, I'm not gonna look, okay, we got a W, but this guy did, he didn't make three, shots in a row, and he shouldn't be taking them. No, we won the game. I know that you, like Tibbs always says, that when you lose, you're probably gonna learn more from those games.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not gonna be down on my team if they get a W. Listen, if they get 82 W's in a row and then 16 in the playoffs, I'm gonna be good with them.
Yeah, Andy, guys are saying that we could win. We just won a bunch of games straight. People say, people still talking about Obi Toppin only play 11 minutes. Like, come on, man. Like, where are your priorities as far as with the team goes and stuff? One thing too about the playoffs that you was mentioning, it's a different game, right? That people always say that different game is our style of play, playing more physical and stuff like that. So that's something to take into account also. We already ahead of the game. We play a physical style of game. So if teams come down to our level, we're already in our comfort zone if we do that.
Yeah, and I hope the first game in the playoffs, we're going to be playing way more physical, because I know that the refs are going to have a longer leash for about fouls and stuff like that. We got to come out strong, elbows high, that the opposite team is going to know that this is the playoffs. This ain't no regular season, late games in the season, stuff like that. No, this is the playoffs. And even if it's going to cost us early foul trouble, whatever, that first game is really important for as far as I see it.
Yeah, listen, the Knicks, people holding on to whatever they want to hold on to. The Knicks are a good team, and Randle and Brunson, those guys are balling. So
Fact.
if what we saw from RJ this last 2 games in terms of his efficiency, and he picks up his playmaking, and he's just even average on defense, the Knicks are even better.
Yeah.
We're even better.
He adds to the physicality too, even offensively. When he drives to the basket, him taking, because he doesn't really blow by guys. He kind of like pushes into guys. So he adds to that bull mentality that we have on both sides of the court. So these are all positives that we really should be focusing on, because now there's like the 20-something games before game time, before the playoffs. We have a lot of good things going for us, and let's keep it a buck too. We talking about Boston and Philly and these teams. I bet you they're scared to death to play us in the first round. Because I mean, if Brunson is going crazy, if Randall's going crazy, and then we're playing hardcore defense and Hart's hitting the ground and things of that nature, I don't think they want to see us either. Shout out to Quickly too,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
For sure. I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna go around. Queen, what time you on tonight?
I believe it's going to be 6:30, so just an hour before before the Knicks play.
No doubt. 6:30, Queens Court, MBK.
Yep.
Andy, anything coming up?
Well,
International Andy?
I'm gonna be probably today with Sim on the pregame show. If he's gonna have one, like around 3:30, probably maybe 4. So I hope to be joining him. And listen, the first interview with my guest that's currently in New York, Daniel Hahn from the Next Germany nation. He's currently in New York. He went to the 73-year anniversary, championship anniversary game. He went to the Nas concert. I want that first episode to be fire, and we're gonna have a long talk about how did they plan this, the trip, how many people and stuff like that. So
Are you doing it
I hope
today?
it's gonna be interesting.
You doing it today?
That's today.
No. I'm gonna do it when he comes back. He's gonna come back like probably
Okay.
next week. We're gonna have the episode.
I'm supposed to hang out with him on Wednesday for the Brooklyn game, so I'll be hanging out with the German guys, hanging out with them.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, here we
Get
go.
out to talk about.
Iru, you on tonight? You doing the watch along?
Yeah, I'll probably do a watch along. I think I'm gonna bounce around tonight though. We'll see. I don't know, because I tell you, my little guy's in the hospital right now, so I gotta go. Be, I'm trying to.
You got to be on. All right.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to hop on
On
Queen
call.
Sport, you could definitely hop on. So like not wanting to commit to your show, and then you got to in the middle be like, oh, I gotta go. I gotta log off.
Yeah, doing dad stuff, man.
Before I get out of here, I want to do my new Knicks podcast spotlight and shout out the guys who had Iru on earlier today, the Knicks Morning Brew. We got Hector, Jiggerman,
And Phil.
and Phila.
Yeah.
Shout out to those 3 gentlemen. If you haven't watched their podcast, go check them out. Good stuff in the morning. Get your coffee, wake up, talk some Knicks, listen to some Knicks, and yeah. Until next time, man. Shout out to the chat. Yo, Black is time. We out of here, and I'll see y'all later.
Peace.
Go Knicks. Let's get this win tonight. Evil, don't go nowhere.